Nation, what's good? It's the world of college football. And on tonight's episode, we're going to go from sea to shining sea, all the way from Portland back home to SEC country. Because you know college football never sleeps, it never stops. And your boy Moon going to make sure you covered. Tonight, we're going to be talking about FCS, and there's some teams that's trying to make some noise. The calendar just dropped, and schedules are going crazy. Thank God that we have schedule makers that are giving us classic games. We're going to talk about the FCS kickoff tonight, as well as a handful of other schools. You name it, we got you covered. This is the world of college football. We appreciate you being in the building. Sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. And let's get to it, my friend. Talking out the side of your neck. What's wavy? It's your boy Moon, back at it again. Nationally credentialed media member of College Football Nation. We're pleased to have you in the building. This is my show. We get a chance to talk about college football because we're a team minus getting close to 90 days from the college football season kicking off. It's what a wonderful time of the year. What a wonderful world that we have. And on tonight's episode, we're going to get into some FCS news. We're going to also talk about some things going on from some major head coaches in the college football world going on right now. And we're going to get into some deep dives into some programs that I'm really fond over, including Portland State, East Carolina University, and also James Madison. Go Dukes. So let's get into this jam-packed episode. Special shout out to CFB Nation. On this episode of the world of college football, we want to take a spotlight on some of the national attention that's going on back at home. Tonight, the full television landscape is dropping. The American Conference, Sun Belt, Pac-12, Ivy League, FCS, everybody got schedules coming out. But the hottest news on the press is what's happening in this Cruz and Cantwell bill that is dropping within days. And when I say days, the clock is ticking. And currently, this is what you need to know about this bipartisan piece of legislation that would be the most consequential thing that Congress has ever done for college sports. So this bill is expected to carry an antitrust exemption, the legal shield that conferences and the NCAA have been chasing for nearly a decade. And that exemption means that the industry can write its own eligibility rules, its own transfer rules, its own NIL oversight, its own rules that can't be challenged in a federal court. So now every single court case, it gets unraveled. In this old model, we start looking at the recent House settlement, the O'Bannon case, Austin case. Those cases become harder to fight if this bill passes. This bill also imposes a hard enforceable salary cap on players. It limits portal activity to as few as one transfer portal in your entire career. The other thing that I wanted to point out is the media rights pooling. This allows schools and conferences to combine their broadcast inventory and sell it together. Now, this and some other estimates are going to allow the pooled rights revenue and the value to be about $9 billion in new revenue. So here's where things start to get on the clock. President Trump's executive order is set for August 1st for this deadline for the new national rules. We got some time before we get into August. But what you really need to know is that the summer recess in August is critical. If this bill does not move forward before that deadline, it dies. And the Senate leadership that we have has already pulled the NCAA Back Score Act twice. The Congressional Black Caucus killed it the last time because of the concerns about athlete compensation. So we got to watch this very closely. Now let's take a scene and go to the next guy. on our piece because he made some controversial news earlier in spring meetings. Kirby Smart. Why do you want to talk about Kirby, Moon? At FCC spring meetings on Tuesday, Kirby Smart said, I've been a huge advocate that if we can't find the rules that everybody plays by, then we should play by our own. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to break away and say that our conference is strong enough to go out and play. The Georgia president, Joe Moorhead, called the current state of college football, in his words, an anarchy. Now, this is just the week before. Both the SEC and the Big Ten are actively exploring new self-governance frameworks. Everybody has been talking about it. It's kind of unavoidable at this point. Now, the CFB contract, well, let's talk about this first. The coaches were apparently meeting with Rich Clark either yesterday or the day before. Now, the CFB contract, it runs through the 2020, 2031, and 2032 seasons. So a full breakaway is not happening right now as we speak, but it's something to monitor. It's something to think about because Kirby Smart is coming out here and publicly speaking this language to us, and it's not an accident. I feel like that's leverage, and I feel like the SEC is telling Congress, fix it, or we'll fix it ourselves, even if it means that we got to break away and do it accordingly, you know? Then we get to our next power player on the board, Mr. Kirk Cignetti. Kirk Cignetti is in an interesting situation, fresh off of a national championship, and we want to start off by saying that first. He was at a booster event at the Huber's Orchard in Indiana, and he said it plainly. The market is pretty expensive. It's scary. Something's going to have to be done in the next 12 to 24 months, or the universities might not be able to handle this. This is the second coach coming out and talking about this language. College football won't exist the way that we're going right now. The man who just won the entire thing that went undefeated is basically saying that the way that the money is going, it's not sustainable. When the guy at the top of the mountain is saying that I climbed all the way up here to get to this point and the climb is unsustainable, I feel like that's a clear signal to everybody really around the country. Now, here's how all these three stories connect with each other. The bill that we talked about to start, that's the solution, or alleged proposed solution. Kirby Smart, he could be deemed as making threats, but I think that he's showcasing the SEC's language and rhetoric being aligned, that we're not afraid to leave, and that showcases leverage. Kirk Cignetti is warning about the stakes of college football, the soul and the integrity of college football. They're all pointing to the same underlying problem, which is that the financial model is broken, and the window to close this financial model being broken is closing. What happens in the next 60 to really 90 days before the college football season kicks off, especially when we drone shot and look at Washington, D.C., I really feel like it's going to shape college football for the next decade. So this is something, Nation, that we have to watch 100%. Now let's shift gears and talk about something else. The ACC recently just dropped their schedule, and your boy Moon paid attention to it, because we got to stop talking about all the governance chaos that we got going on and shift from the Soups in Washington, the Ted Cruzes of the world, to talking about television product of college football in 2026. And I really feel like that is elite right now. The schedules just dropped for the ACC, American, Sun Belt, Pac-12, Big Sky, everybody in between. So let me take you around the landscape, and let's start with the ACC first and foremost. There's going to be a record number, 15 games that are happening in the ACC on Friday night. This is huge. 15 primetime showcases for the world to see on the Premier Network. Commissioner Jim Phillips called it one of the nation's deepest conference schedules. He's flexing and boasting because he can. The opening weekend alone is going to be wild for all of those people that's out there paying attention. The Aer Lingus College Football Classic with TCU in North Carolina and Dublin, Ireland is kicking off at noon on ESPN. We also have NC State traveling to play Virginia in Brazil. That's also kicking off at 3:30. The college football going across seas, crossing the Atlantic Ocean, and you're going to get that early on in the slate for the ACC. Then you back it by having the first time Clemson can go to Tiger Stadium in a generation with Clemson at LSU on Saturday, September the 5th at 7:30 on ABC. Lane Kiffin, Trey Green hosting the newly Clemson and what they look like in this year. That's going to be must-watch TV. It was must-watch TV last year. Part 2 should be just as glorious. Then there are some other ACC matchups that we should talk about that should really be on everybody's radar, and I want to talk about them a little bit real quick. So Florida State at Alabama on September the 19th on 3:30 on ABC is one that I think is a massive non-conference showdown, especially with the changes Florida State are making to their staff and what it's going to be from the Seminoles in 2026. Alabama is still trying to prove that we can make it back to the college football playoff and we can go further. And what Kalen DeBoer can do in this early matchup is going to be huge. Miami and Stanford are going to open the season on September the 4th on ESPN in primetime. Miami is ranked number 7 in the way too early rankings, and I'll probably put them higher. I think Miami is probably top 5 in the country, in my opinion. But coming off of a national championship game appearance, you get a chance to play early. It's great. Cal opens at home against UCLA on September the 5th, 7:30 on ESPN. The first non-conference meeting between those two programs in a very long time. Clemson visits Berkeley on a Friday night game, which should be a great test for the Tigers to go out there on September the 25th at 7:30 on ESPN. We also have other late night games like Virginia hosting Duke in a rematch of last year's ACC championship game on October the 23rd on ESPN in primetime. The rematch of the 2025 ACC title game getting Friday night ESPN treatment is something that I want to spend a little bit of time to talk about because I feel like the ACC is showcasing to us that, hey, we can earn this visibility. We can put ourselves out there with the visibility. So that is what we got with the conferences. Me personally, I'm looking forward to the early season Labor Day kickoff classic because to me, that's when college football is at its apex and its peak. Everybody wants to come back. Everybody wants to see what's going on with the sport. All the casuals come back right before week 0. So that's going to be the boost. And anytime the ACC can continue to get in front of that, play games overseas, continue to put their brand on the forefront, that's great for them in their conference. It's always going to be great for them. Let's take another look in another conference that's a power player, one of my favorites in the entire land, the American, and a league that continues to punch above its weight class. Let's take a look at their schedule because they got some interesting broadcast games for us. We don't give the American Conference the credit that it actually deserves. The AAC sent 9 teams to bowl games in 2025. 3 programs finished with 11 wins. They were the only conference to record non-conference wins against teams from all Power 4 conferences in the same season. That is what you need to lead with when you're talking about the American Conference. East Carolina opens September 5th at Alabama at noon, ABC. They're not giving it the ESPN Plus treatment, so I'm happy for that. Not a regional network. You're not getting it on the CW. You're putting it on ABC. Now, the Pirates, they're going to be in for a test. I hoping for the best in Blake Harrell's continued rebuild of ECU. Now, that's just one of the major games that we got. North Texas faces the defending national champion Indiana at noon on Fox the same day that this is going down. Now, Kirk Cignetti, he just made an appearance earlier in the show. and Bloomington is going to be buzzing for that matchup on national TV. Tulane, they open against the 2025 ACC champion Duke at 3:30 on ACC Network. Florida Atlantic travels to Florida on an SEC network. And when we talk about these non-con matchups, we saw the American make a lot of noise and make a lot of splash last year. Like, look at the USF game when they shocked Florida in the swamp. You know, they have consistently made noise and consistently showed up, especially in these big games. So these are the real games with the real stakes on real television. Week 2, they got Rice traveling to Notre Dame, and NBC is going to have that one. NBC is going to continue to give that visibility to Notre Dame, but the American Conference is going to benefit from that because they're looking to build toward a better future. Charlotte, they getting some. Hopefully, Tim Albin can continue to right the ship with Charlotte, but they get Ole Miss, ESPN2. What better way to start the season? Temple, they get a chance to host Penn State. These are opening weekend games that continue to build the recruiting pipeline for you in your country, well, in your program. But it also helps build the donor bases that you have. It continues to allow you to compete with that Power 4 money. Everybody wants that Power 4 money. Now, the television exposure is the real true currency that you have in this sport. And the American is choosing to spend that currency wisely, in my opinion. Now, there is the Army-Navy game, of course, at MetLife on CBS, and we're all going to talk about this. But this is going to be a major one. Last year was epic for Army-Navy game. One that will go down in history. It was the last time we got a chance to see Gary Danielson call a game. So it was a lot that went into it. And I think that tradition-rich rivalry is something that is perfect at the end of the season. Keep that there. But that rivalry belongs to the American Conference. And it's something that, more people need to talk about. More people need to know about. So that's a little bit about the pulse of the American and what we have going on. I'm excited for this broadcast TV schedule. The guy that's pictured on your screen, Blake Harrell, we're going to talk about him in a little bit. But before I do, special shout out to you and yours. This is the world of college football. Let's shift drone shot to the Sun Belt. We're going to talk about Pac-12 and a little bit of the FCS and sprinkle it all in. But before we do, Sun Belt drone shot to James Madison, Harrisonburg, Virginia. Billy Napier is now the head coach in JMU, and the future looks bright right now after Bob Chesney left to go to UCLA, and he's already, I love Bob Chesney. I love his interviews. I love the way he's just a very smart guy. Well-spoken, but he's ruffling feathers out there in UCLA because they're like, man, how is this coach so cocky? How is he, how dare he come into from a G6 school, G5 school and say, hey, we're going to change UCLA around. He's daring to be different, and that's why I love Bob Chesney. Billy Napier stepping into that role. We're going to talk about a JMU deep dive a little bit later, so I just wanted to announce, I got an email from JMU yesterday saying that they announced 7 different kickoff times with their TV destinations, and the Dukes, they went 12-2 last year. And somehow, some way, they still got to rebuild. 57% of their roster is brand new for the JMU Dukes, and they're going to be on national television on 6 out of those 7 games on ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU, trying to figure it all out. Not I forget the CBS Sports Network and the CW. The first time in program history that JMU football has ever played on both the CBS Sports Network and the CW in the same season. If you're a JMU Dukes fan, you have to love this because you open the season against Liberty on ESPNU at noon. Now, I know they gave us the ESPN treatment, but the Battle of the Blue Ridge is going to be epic this year. Then you fly across country to go to San Diego State on September the 19th at 10 p.m. On Late Kick on the CW. I like that. You add 3 consecutive Thursday night games where you get to host in prime time in late October in spooky season. And then early November, by the time we get to November, Billy should be able to figure this out. And as his first season as JMU's new coach coming from Florida, I think he can really get back into his roots and tap into a national TV audience that can know what's going on with him and his school. And I think that matters in recruiting. I think that matters when it comes to program identity. And if you talk to the people in JMU, they love this. They are always going to welcome getting all the spotlight. Let's talk about another school that's deserving of spotlight. Let's take a drone shot to Utah State. And Utah State is in a very peculiar situation because while I have high hopes for them coming into this year, the broadcast schedule has high hopes for them this year. We're still waiting on some final pieces to fit together in that puzzle before we can start getting truly optimistic about Utah State and this new resurgence. Now, let's talk about their schedule because 11 national TV games in 2026 is ridiculous. All of your schedule is on national TV. The program in its first year of the reborn Pac-12 is going to get all the TV time that they can hope for. And this new era is officially going to start on July the 1st with the emergence of the Pac-12. But they have 5 home games, 6 road games on CBS Sports Network, USA Network, and also the CW. They play on Big Ten Network and Fox. The Pac-12 Championship on December the 4th, that's going to be hosted on CBS. So when you get the CBS Paramount Plus treatment, Boise State already being the overwhelming favorite in this new look conference, but I'll let the season play out. At what point does a program that wins this much in a group of 5 conference have to either join a power conference or accept that their ceiling will always be limited by their address in Boise, Idaho? That's what we're going to have to try to figure out in this new age of this Pac-12 reboot. And I think that's going to force us to pay attention all year long. And we're going to have all the chances to see. Utah State, I'm excited. 11 national broadcast games. I wanted to mention that in the show. Let's take a trip while we're talking about national TV. FCS kickoff is a thing that I wanted to mention in the show because it's important. This game last year got, you could say, postponed because of weather. This year, it's changing location. So instead of being in Montgomery, it's going to be in Alabama. It's going to be in Macon, Georgia, for the first time in the event's history. And guess who's in Macon? The wonderful Mercer Bears, 2-time defending SoCon champions, is hosting East Texas A&M on August the 29th at 7 o'clock on the dot on ESPN. Now, the mayor of Macon has already called it another Macon moment, because this is a city standing behind this program. This is a community that understands what national TV spotlight means and what this appearance for the place like Mercer University does to help the city of Macon in this program. The FCS kickoff move into Macon is a story, but the 2-time SoCon champions hosting it is the one that I want to shine spotlight on. And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but the game is on ESPN in prime time on opening weekend of week 0. So we're going to see you in Macon. And I wanted to mention that. One last thing while we're going on this around the world trip. Yale and Harvard are going to renew their rivalry, and we call it the game. But the 142nd edition of this rivalry is going to be played at Fenway Park on November the 21st at 3:30 on ESPNU. Now, this game is so important, not only to the FCS, but I really feel like to college football. And it was last played at Fenway in 2018, and Harvard won 45-27. The Ivy League playing at a Major League Baseball iconic venue like Fenway Park on national TV at the end of the season is exactly the kind of story that I feel like I was built to cover on the world of college football. And Penn Penn is also going to be playing its 150th season. Think about that. In their program history, 150 years this year for Penn. Princeton opened the 2026 schedule release with an announcement saying that not only did we beat the FBS UMass last year, we trying to come in with some momentum. Yale, they took down Youngstown State in the FCS playoffs. The Ivy League is having a football moment, and on the world of college football, we want to make sure that we talk about it. This is my show. Appreciate you tuning in to the show. This is the World of College Football. I'm your boy Moon, nationally credentialed media member of College Football Nation and World Tour traveler in the college football space. We like to cover everybody on the show, and if this is your first time tuning in, I really do like to make sure all these schools get their spotlight. Well, I know we're doing a late night edition. It's 10:51 on the East Coast. On the West Coast, it's still 7:50. So we cooking. Let's continue the show and keep it going. We got the World Tour, and we're going to take a drone shot to Greenville, North Carolina, and put a spotlight on a coach and a team that needs some more love heading into 2026 season. Greenville, North Carolina is a special place. It hosts East Carolina University. It hosts the Boneyard. It hosts the Pirates. And I want to give this program a little full deep dive because Blake Harrell and this roster deserve to be in the conversation of American contenders this year. And to understand what he has built, you got to understand that he came in as an interim head coach in October of 2024 after Mike Houston was fired. He finished that season, kept that program together. They allowed themselves to lean on each other, and they started to build something. What he was able to build is a lot of momentum and also secure being the full-time head coach. And in his 19 games as the man in charge, he is 14-5. That man knows how to win. The Pirates won 9 games last year, went 6-2 in the American Conference, and beat Pittsburgh in the military. That is a coaching resume that is starting to build something real, and the coaching staff is starting to come together. And I think their staff is really cohesive. Offensive coordinator Jordan Davis is going to be in his first season, so a lot of eyes are going to be on him. But I think he's coming in also ready for the challenge of figuring out what the starting quarterback is going to look like. They lost their 2 top rushers from last year, their starting quarterback from last year, and their 2 top wide receivers. So they have 0 returning starters on the offensive line from 2025. All of it's going to be new. Bryce Weaver is a name that you need to know because he is probably the most experienced holdup up front. He's somebody you need to know. But it's going to be a lot of new. Coach Harrell is going to have to get it cooking with a lot of new guys, and I think whoever wins the job heading into fall camp, in fall camp, they're going to be operating behind a retooled offensive line, but that's going to be stressed in camp and rebuilt, retooled skill positions. They're also going to have a new offensive system, and they got to get it all ready to go before they head into a most stress-tested opening weekend scenario in the country. So the pressure cooker is something that Blake Harrell is built for. I've interviewed the man last year at ACC Media Days. He's a very humble and a servant leader. So I know he's not going to run away from the challenge at all. In fact, he's leading the boys right into the fire. And if I want to talk more about this quarterback battle, though, it's genuinely wide open, in my opinion. And I don't think it's going to resolve itself before fall camp opens on August the 2nd. Mitch Graffis, he transferred in from Texas Tech. 30 career games, 10 starts at Wake Forest. He already knows offensive coordinator Jordan Davis' system from their time at Texas Tech. But I don't want to put that too much to weigh in the conversation because Emory Williams came in too from Miami, and he looks the par. Like when you talk about quarterbacks that fit the mold, 6'5", 225, power forward starting experience at Clemson, Florida State as a true freshman. Like when you have that iron sharpening iron mentality in camp, I think that's really going to bode well for what Coach Blake Harrell wants to do with ECU. Now Griffiths, really this whole entire team, their goal is to win the American Conference. Everybody has to know that. They're going to have to figure it out on the fly, though. And I think what's going to keep them in the conversation is the fact that the American Conference is going to run through their defense. Their defense is going to be the most settled version of what you're going to expect from Blake Harrell, because he really has his chance to put his DNA and fingerprints all over it. He's been there for plenty of time. Preston Carr, Josiah Robinson, they're going to be anchoring the defensive line, and they have real production behind them. DJ Johnson Jr., he's going to be coming back in the linebacker course. Zaire Gamble is going to be a legitimate playmaker at safety in 2026. And the defense, I feel like they're middle of the pack, but we can excel and go further than what 2025 in times in 2025 where we just left too much meat on the bone. And I can't wait to talk to Coach Harrell at Media Days to see how he felt about the season, but also what's to come. Now, the game that I feel like everybody should pay attention to the most in their schedule is Week 7. Week 7, that Memphis game, it's a coin flip right now. They got Army in Week 12. That's another dead even lock matchup. I think that's the difference in them going 9-3 and 7-5. Straight up. They have some tough out-of-conference games, but the Boneyard is going to be rocking. You got to mark them on your calendar, and I cannot wait to see what Blake Harrell does with this program in 2026, year of our Lord. Let's continue. Well, that's my guy. Shout out to my dog. Let's continue. Let's talk about another program making some monumental changes, and they needed some love on the world of college football tonight. Chapter 2 of Around the World. Portland, Oregon, where the Chris Fisk era is officially begun. Now, it is my hope to cover this story to the fullest capacity, and I'll tell you why at the end. But let's drive out to the Pacific Northwest. Portland State University, the Vikings. When you think about them, I think they're in the most interesting coaching positions in the country. And all of FCS right now, it's very intriguing because Chris Fisk, he arrives on campus in December 2025, and my man just has like a magnetic energy around him, becoming the 15th head coach in Portland State Viking football history. Now, he spent 7 seasons at Central Washington where he went 48-22, including 38-7 in conference play. That is something that needs to be talked about. He won 3 conference titles as well. He led 4 teams to the NCAA playoffs, and he was named the NCAA Division II Region for Coach of the Year in 2025 after going 10-2 with a 9-0 conference record. You smell that? Yeah, that smells like a fire burning moon. Yeah, my boy is a winner. Chicken dinner. 5 coaches came with him to Portland State and the Vikings and followed him. And his offensive coordinator came too. Matt Atkins came in from Arizona. Portland State, they didn't just hire a football coach. They got a trendsetter. They got a coach that's a winner. They have a coach that is going to bring the dog out of these players, and I think he's the ultimate culture builder. And he has championship pedigree, impeccable conference record. And when I look at him, he's coming in with a proven system. What they did at Portland State is build fast, and they did it vigorously. Like phase 1 of the spring, they had 3 phases: spring, summer, fall. Phase one is a complete and told story, and the university president and Cud showed up for the spring game, coin flip, actually called plays on the first series of the scrimmage. When your university president is on the sideline calling plays, even if it is ceremonially, that's the institution telling you that, hey, we buy into this program and what we're building in this new year. And Portland State has had a program record GPA of a 3.22. So they're getting it done on the football field and in classroom. In fall 2025, they bettered it and said, we're going to go from a 3.22 to a 3.36 in the winter of 2026. What Coach is building out there, Coach Fisk, he is building complete human beings. Not football players alone, but complete human beings. And I feel like that matters here in the world of college football. When you talk about on the field, the competition is real. The defense took a 26-0 lead over the offense, and then the offense came back and made it 27-26 right before halftime, going back and forth. The defense locked in and won the second half decisively. That's what you want to see in the spring, is your defense is ahead of your offense. Now, the quarterback, Tyree Smith, 33-yard touchdown run. They also have John Kiawe Sagapalitele. Let's see if that name rings a bell for all the Cal fans out there. But he hit Derek Blanche Jr., a name that you need to know, on a 41-yard score. Gabe Downing connected with tight end Tanner Beeman, who missed all of 2025 with a foot injury, but he's back, finally healthy, and he's in the scoring column. So I know that had to feel good for Tanner. 30-yard score. Safety Isaac Redford had 6 tackles, and he showcased why he can be a spark plug for this defense. Now, this is what you really need to know. Their schedule is going to shake out to be absolutely perfect for Portland State. And here's why. The Big Ten moved Portland State's road game at Oregon from a Saturday, September 19th to Friday, September 18th to accommodate a television window. Now, the Big Ten, they moved the Big Sky's program game date. Think about what that says about the gravitational pull or the power conference in their television contracts. Portland State does not play in the Big Ten, nowhere close. They play in the Big Sky. And their road trip to Eugene on September the 18th, Chris Fisk is tasked with taking his Vikings into Autzen Stadium. I mean, a frenzy of a situation. And the Big Ten moved it up because they needed a TV window. The game is going to be on national TV, and it's one that you got to circle on your calendar because Portland State gets free exposure that money cannot buy playing in Eugene, Oregon. Chris Fisk's reaction essentially is great because it's more people watching us. And I feel like that's the right attitude that you need to have as a first-year head coach. They open up at home versus UC Davis on the 29th of August, and that's going to be a huge game to start the season off right. UC Davis is hosting Eastern Washington on ESPN2 on October the 3rd, and that's going to be the first time that we get that ESPN network matchup for UC Davis, Eastern Washington early like that. This team with Portland State, we need to watch them more closely. They have some moments on their schedule where it can get a little dicey, but I'm interested just to see how Chris Fisk mold this team together and allows them to really bond over the summer, come together. Now, the reason why I wanted to mention this story is because it is my hope that I can interview Chris Fisk from Portland State University, head coach, and be able to talk to him more about what he's building with this program. And God willing, if everything goes right, we'll be able to do that live on World of College Football. So that's a little breaking news that I wanted to share you. So this program needs to love, and I want to be able to tell it in the right way, but also bring the head coach on here to be able to tell you too for himself. That is Portland State, and that's their time to shine. Let's continue this thing going on and get deeper into the show. Western Carolina and the Catamounts. Down the road in the mountains, Western Carolina University, Coach Kerwin Bell wrapped up spring with a battle that went all the way down to the wire. The Purple Squad, they trailed 24-7 at halftime, but then they outscored the White Squad 24-3 in the second half to win the game 31-27. Running back Josh Perry had a single play, 70-yard touchdown that ignited the whole rally and got the party started with the fireworks. Wide receiver Michael Rawson had 4 catches for 104 yards. True freshman Patrick Harding hit Ellis Chapel for a game-winning score that brought a lot of fireworks and happiness. Now, Coach Kerwin Bell said that after the game, I just love the competitiveness of this football team. They come to work every single day. The facility improvements are coming on strong. The new turf, they got a new video board. They got a modern stadium lighting. So Western Carolina is investing, y'all. And the SoCon has a lot of stories at every level, but this is one that y'all need to pay attention to. And let's see what Kerwin Bell and his staff can put together with Western Carolina. We're just not that far removed where 2 seasons ago they took NC State to the wire. Last year, they were super competitive. We got to pay attention. Coming up next on the show, UVA. In Charlottesville, Virginia, they announced this week that the rematch of the 2025 ACC Championship game against Duke is getting the primetime treatment on Friday, October the 3rd at 7 o'clock on the dot. Now, Virginia and Duke played for the ACC title last year, and now they're playing again on a Friday night. Primetime, we love to see it. The whole country gets to watch it, and I think we get a chance for revenge. Virginia also plays West Virginia in a neutral site at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte on September the 18th on ACC Network. And the first meeting between these two programs since the 2002 Centennial. That was the Centennial Tires Bowl, and that game was also played in Charlotte. So it's kind of like history coming back full circle. I think it's the perfect symmetry of returning to the same stadium 24 years later, and we get a chance to dive deeper into this matchup again, but let's run it back because the ACC championship was a classic, regardless of what the records for both teams were. I want to go and talk about something that's kind of off my show notes, but I wanted to give it more love. The FCS kickoff is happening in Macon, Georgia, and the Bears are really the talk of the town right now. This FCS kickoff was played in Montgomery, Alabama for 8 straight seasons, and it's coming to Five Star Stadium for the 9th annual edition on August the 29th. This is opening weekend. Things can't get even better for us as a college football fan. And here's the reason why I think you should watch this game on ESPN at 7 p.m. The mayor of Macon said, once again, the country will have its eyes on Macon, and we couldn't have asked for a better weekend for this to happen. The mayor of a town talking about the city's football team tells you everything you need to know about Mercer and what the community is, but everything you need to know about the world of college football and why it is just different. The Bears are 2-time defending SoCon champions, back-to-back outright. First team since 2008 to accomplish that. They have a juggernaut that they're building. 11-3 last year, made their 3rd straight FCS playoff appearance. Joe Taylor took over in 2025, and he was the defensive coordinator at Mercer from 2020 to 2023. And then he led West Georgia to 12 wins in their first 2 seasons at the Division I level. He knows his program. He knows the culture, and he's inheriting a Bears program that has 5 starters returning, 23 other letter winners that are coming back. Furman, that's their week 2 opponent. They get them at home September the 12th. And Furman, they just won both the SoCon Commissioner's Cup and the German Cup. So I want to give Furman their love in this show in the world of college football. But that's something that you need to know about this program, because I feel like this game is going to tell us a lot about where these programs are coming in. East Texas A&M is going to be the opponent for Mercer. But the SoCon as a whole, the SoCon conversation is starting to pick up, and more people are starting to pay attention. That's something that I wanted to spotlight on this show. Let's keep it popping. UC Davis, we just mentioned them. Davis, California is buzzing in the summertime because of the Aggies. And for the first time in program history, UC Davis is hosting a non-postseason linear ESPN network regular season game when ESPN2 comes to UC Davis Health Stadium on October the 3rd for their homecoming, and yeah, I said homecoming, showdown against Eastern Washington. UC Davis head coach Tim Plow said, "We have one of the best universities in the country, and it brings me a lot of joy every single time that we get to show the country what we can do on a national stage." UC Davis is the number 2 ranked public university in the country by Wall Street Journal, number 1 in agriculture and forestry, number 1 in veterinary medicine, and also they're playing on homecoming on ESPN2, trying to make their football program maximize on the spotlight. This is where you start to get the cross between academic excellence and athletic ambition pairing with each other, blending for the perfect, what's the word I'm looking for? Soiree. You just get the perfect blend. And this game on ESPN, again, we got to pay attention. The FCS school is going to try to get it popping this year. Speaking of that, Ivy, I couldn't forget about you. I couldn't forget about you, Ivy League. The reason why I wanted to spotlight the Ivy League is because we got to slow down and talk about a conference that's been doing it for decades, centuries at this point, over a century plus. The Ivy League and their football programs are having a moment, and the national media continues to ignore it over and over again. Harvard won its 3rd straight Ivy League title in 2025, and ESPN didn't tell you. They also earned an at-large FCS playoff berth, and they seem to ignore it. The Crimson, they finished 9-2 and appeared in both the final top 25 polls at number 20 in the Stats Perform. They appeared in the number 23 in the AFCA Coaches Poll. When you talk about Yale won a share of the Ivy League title and knocked off Youngstown State in the first round of the FCS playoffs last year, and nobody wanted to talk about it. And now the 142nd of the game, not Ohio State, Michigan, but Harvard versus Yale, is happening on Fenway at Fenway Park on November the 21st at 3:30 on ESPNU. They gave it the ESPNU treatment, I get it, but we still get to watch it. And the last time that these two teams met was 2018. Penn is playing their 150th season in program history. Rick Santos had to step away. Got a lot of things on their shoulders right now, especially after spring ball. Just coaches, they built a lot of tradition that's going on. Penn gets to host Howard in their first ever meeting on October the 10th. Dartmouth named its captains at the spring football, and they named Grayson Saunier, defensive lineman Joshua Johnson, and linebacker Harrison Keefe, all as their captains. And they opened the season at Lehigh before hosting Monmouth for the first time in program history. Princeton, they beat UMass last year. What I'm trying to tell you in short is these programs are building, whether it's slow pace, fast pace to other people, but they are building, stacking chips in the right direction. And if you wanted to invest in some programs to get busy in FCS this year, put it on the programs that actually perform. And I'm going to put it on the programs that are competing, building, representing something that has nothing to do with NIL money, nothing to do with transfer portal rankings. And I feel like that's why they deserve this platform. Let's get it popping. Let's talk about the last man on the show. We're going to end it with a bang. Promise you, it's going to all come full circle. I've been trying to protect my mental lately, and I wanted to end the show and go to Berea, Ohio, and talk about a Division III story that you need to hear and that you need to talk about when we close the show out. Baldwin Wallace University in Division III football put out a story recently that was so much more than just a coaching hire, because Baldwin Wallace head coach Jim Hilvert announced the return of former quarterback Mickey Mental as an assistant coach. Now, Mickey Mental played at BW. He graduated in 2007 and is coming in. He graduated 2007. He's coming in after serving as a head coach at Weber State at the Division I level. And he did this from 2023 to 2025, and he spent 13 years at Notre Dame College, including head coaching duties. Now, when I look at Mickey Mental and what he's building with this program and him coming in, I want to end the show talking about protecting your mental, making sure you're in a good mental space. I know for me, it's hard during the season. It's even harder in the off season because we got to really dig and search for these stories, and they don't make itself because the games are not being played right now. Who cares about college football when you're talking about it in May? But these stories, like what the Division III is doing with Mickey Mental, it's so great that people need to know about, because he's coming in Berea, Ohio, Division III, and having continuity, having a feel-good story, a player that's coming home, a player that has been around the world, mentored 17 all Big Sky Conference student athletes, now coaching quarterbacks at the Division III level, a position that he played, to a school that means so much to him, and he's doing it by choice, like coming home because it actually means something to him. That's where we end, because his name is Mickey Mental. And that's why I'll tell you, always protect your mental. And I don't know if that's just a coincidence or just destiny by the way that it ends. But in a sport that moves faster every single season, and players continue to transfer, coaches leave, loyalty is currency, and continuity is something that's rare in this sport. A man named Mickey Mental is going home to a place that shaped him to the roots. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the world of college football in 2026. From the SEC secession threats to the Division III in Berea, Ohio. Every single level, every single story, no filter, no fluff. We're going to keep it real for you. That is the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. From Kirby Smart threatening to break away from the NCAA and say we can do it all by ourselves, to UC Davis making program history on ESPN2, to East Carolina has to walk into absolutely a juggernaut in opening week for them, and Blake Harrell trying to build something special out there, to Portland State and Chris Fisk and what they're building. Hopefully we can get them on the show, and they got to travel to Autzen Stadium on a Friday night because the Big Ten needed a window. From the SoCon, the Ivy League, the American Conference, ACC, Division III, Division II, FCS, and everybody in between. Television schedules that dropped this week are a reminder that despite everything that's going on with this going to the Senate, college football going on, despite the governance chaos that we have, despite the financial spiral, despite everything, I really do feel like this is the greatest sport in the world. And when you get to know more about these stories, more about these programs, specifically in the FCS that nobody wants to talk about, it really starts to bring that heartbeat back for college football. It's like, dum, 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 dum. It starts to come back. Okay, want my take on the conferences breaking away that really kill college football? Go for it, bro. Tell me, please. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. That's the show. We are now in the lobby, in the green room, relaxing. But special shout out to you and yours. And that's why I love college football. I wanted to make a special announcement. We still hit our quota, and we still was able to do it in a good fashion. I released World of College Football episodes this week on Spotify, so you can now listen and watch the video podcast on Spotify. I would love for you to go in there and support. Rate it. Let me know what you think about the show. This will be the 50th episode on Spotify, so we're building something very strong. And yeah, man, I'm excited about the growth and the direction of the platform, what we got going on with World of College Football. Ejo, let me know what you feel. I mean, I just want someone in the decision making, business thinking about the fans. Literally, everything's player, school. Nobody is thinking about what we want, and I feel you on that 100% because nobody's thinking about us and what the fans want with the college football playoff at all. Nobody asked us for our opinion, even though we're the ones that watch and tune into the games. We're the ones that if we choose collectively to stop watching college football, they can't make any money. Nobody wants to talk about that part. If we collectively went on strike and said, y'all don't want to get right, we don't want to get right. I guess we'll go spend our Saturdays at Six Flags amusement park. I guess we'll go enjoy our family road trips now. We get a chance to spend. Now, I know that's kind of crazy talk because college football is college football, right? And some of these towns across the country, this is their economy. This is everything. This is a generating of revenue. But, we need a lot of things, and it's not the perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the bold and beautiful. College football is the bold and beautiful, the young and restless, the stories. As the world turns, those General Hospital, it is these stories. Every single day, we have storylines that come out, and they make the world go around. They literally keep us glued to our seats, especially during the season. It's a fever pitch. If you're a college football fan and lover out there, you have to know this. Even if you're a casual, you don't even watch, even if you're somebody that is new to the game, this might be your first time watching the show and hearing this conversation or rhetoric about college football. There's so many things to love, but what Idro is talking about is that, these businesses, these higher ups, they're making the decisions, but the fans that are the ones that consume the sport, they buy the apparel, they buy the merch, they spend their hard-earned money to go support their universities from sea to shining sea all across this country that I love. Like, it's really crazy that the fans don't have more buy-in, and that's the reason why I feel like the BCS should come back. The BCS model should really be a combination of the fan poll. It should be a pulse of the fan nation. That's what I feel like, because we should be able to vote collectively and on what we feel like the rankings are. We could take it out of the hands of the committee. We don't need no committee. We can do it ourselves. We watch the game every Saturday. We come in and we talk about it. Now, that's a lot of power, but to great power comes great responsibility, and the people that have the responsibility right now are fumbling it. I'm sorry, I need to slow down. The people that have the responsibility are not holding up their Peter Parker obligations that Uncle Ben said. Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility, son. Never forget it. They're not holding up the end of the bargain, Spider-Man. So now you have to meet the Green Goblin. That's what I feel, Idro. 24 playoff teams, go F yourself. LOL, I don't mind didn't like my first verse. Listen, I don't mind. I was just trying to protect me and the viewers that's listening on Spotify. It's like, what is going on right now? But I'm going to get my sound effects soon, bro. I'm going to get them soon. I'm not a fan of the 24-team college football playoff model. I'm not. However, if this is the direction that the sport continues to go, I talked to the governor of college football, which you need to go check out his show, Governor of College Football, also on YouTube, Governor of CFB. Follow him on Twitter, too. Governor of CF Leverett KT. I was talking to him about this 24-team playoff and the SEC succeeding. So I said this. Now, this is hot take, fresh off the press, and we're in overtime right now. My show is trying to go to an hour. We're in overtime. I already hit my quota. I already gave y'all everything I needed. If the SEC wants to break away, and I know that they can't do this by themselves, but if the SEC wants to allegedly break away, then cool. Go do it. Hasta luego. We will see you from a distance. But take the Big 12 with you. Take the ACC with you. Take the Big 10 with you. Or if you just want to take the Big 10, cool. ACC and Big 12, you're in a weird positioning right now because you're the afterthoughts. Nobody really cares about your opinion. You don't even have a seat at the table for real. Let's just be real. Big 12 and Big 10, they can just go. Big 12 and ACC, my apologies, they can just go along with whatever because they don't have a vote at the table. I respect my dog, Jim Phillips. I respect Brent Yormark. 100%. We've met both of them. But there's no way on God's green earth that they even think that they run anything in this economy. No. So in my opinion, take the SEC, take the Big Ten, tell them to go, right? We still have over 100 teams in college football that's ready for the taking. So y'all can have your own college football playoff. Make it the Big Boys National Championship. And have it sponsored by Gatorade, Powerade, or Lincoln Financial College Football Playoff, hosted by ESPN on a family of networks. Have it like that. Succeed from the union so we can protect the soul of the sport. They said if you have a finger, if your right hand is causing you to stumble and fall, what you supposed to do? Cut that sucker off and keep it moving with your left. But my right hand and my left hand don't need to know what they doing. So if the SEC is going to go, then cool. The SEC is what people love, you know? I'm not trying to throw shade on them. I understand what they are as a power conference in this land. They are the power conference in this land, in my opinion, regardless of record against the Big Ten. Big Ten, I know we have the last 3 national championships. I get it. And last year's looked undoubtedly because Ohio State looked good all throughout the year. And then Indiana was like, we're putting our foot on the gas. We're going to run the same type of zone coverage defense, and we're going to just stymie people. But the SEC is in a very good position, but I think Greg Sankey's back is against the wall in a little bit. But he's a thug, bro. Baby, because I'm a thug. Brent, he's not getting knocked off his pivot. Greg Sankey is not getting knocked off his pivot. But if y'all want to leave, leave. We cool with that. However, Big 12, ACC, you now have a decision. Are you leaving and joining the Big 10 and the SEC? Because if you go, let us know. Don't let the doorknob hit you with a good Lord. You know what? That's how I feel about it. Take them out. We have so much of college football still left. Now let's have fun. We're going to bring up all the FCS schools, and they will now be football only. And they'll be technically football only FBS schools now. Everybody is FBS since the SEC, the Big 10 succeeded from the union, Big 12 and ACC is like, hey, well, we just gonna go to. You remember the Blue Sisters on Proud Family? That's essentially what the ACC and the Big 12 are being right now. So let them go. We'll move all the other schools up. We'll have so much sample size to choose from. We can maintain the integrities of the conferences. We can expand the conferences. We can actually maintain geography, and we can compete for a college football playoff championship or make a G6 pool playoff. I bet more schools around the nation could buy into that, because once we have the main focus or all the people that want intention, once the SEC is removed, then maybe, just maybe, we can have the integrity of the sport saved, because it won't be about money no more. It will maybe be on a little, it will be on a level playing field, in my opinion. So the Georgia States of the world, the Florida Atlantics, I feel like they will have a better chance. I know it's just an idea, but I know we're not on the precipice of anything like that happening right now, with the SEC just saying, man, bump it all, we just gonna leave. But I do feel like that's a possible solution. We'll have to figure out how to navigate it, but we can have a true college football playoff. Since we already talking about the G6 playoff, just expand it. Take all those schools that's doing well, and we can have regulation or relegation sliders. And if you do bad, then you drop down in the conference. If you do up, you go up. If you win your national championship, or if you win your conference, then you make it automatically as a college football, well, into the playoff. And now we have the conference champions like we already do. Conference champions from each conference now get a bid automatically to go to the playoff. But you have to play everybody in your conference to know that you're actually the real deal. So that's just my thoughts on what it looks like. So honestly, I think the SEC is just trying to lobby for more auto bids in the playoffs. Absolutely. That's really what it's all about. But that's the reason why I never understood why people in the other conferences think that the expansion of the playoff is going to benefit them outside of money. You're not winning. You're not winning. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to be the person that tries to poke the balloon and just take all the air out of the stadium, but they're not winning. Y'all agree with me, right? I'm not just saying anything that's off the wall. I know we in overtime, but they're not winning. Our best hope as a Big 12 school came last year to Texas Tech. Texas Tech was our best chance last year as a Big 12 school. The same school that beat BYU twice handily, and they said, no, y'all can't make the college football playoff. So we expand the college football playoff to 24 teams. The SEC gets 8 teams. The Big 12 gets 8 teams. And now y'all just figure out the rest. That's basically what they're saying. They want to expand it to 24 teams, not because they care about you, Big 12, not because they even care about you, Group of 6 schools, because they don't. They want to expand it because they want more bids. They want USC, Iowa, Oregon, Maryland, if they have a jam-packed season in 2026, you know, they want all these schools to make it. They want, the SEC wants all their premier schools to make it. If they can have Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, South Carolina, if they do good, Tennessee, Georgia, if they can have all of these schools in the college football playoff, that increases their chances to win the whole thing. So I'm stacking the deck in my favor. It's kind of like the lottery. If I'm spinning the lottery with the, the raffle with the NBA, if I have more balls in the pool for myself, I have more chances to win. The Big 12 and the ACC is like, well, we'll just get along with the program. But, like, okay, you building something special with Miami, but Clemson dropped off of a cliff last year. Like, there's other schools I can go down the top to the bottom that if it wasn't for Miami saving the day, yeah, they lost to SMU. But if it wasn't for them saving the day and making it to the national championship, it would have been a major down year for the ACC. So if you look at it from Big 12 to ACC, I still have my questions. That's just what I would say, because how many teams are you going to get? 2 max? Even last year, if Georgia Tech would have actually stayed the course and finished strong after going 8-0 start, let's say SMU doesn't hiccup, Louisville doesn't hiccup, and we actually have more schools in the conversation, they probably would have still figured out a way to let only 2 schools in max, in my opinion. I mean, the writing has been on the wall for that for a while. That's why I say 18 playoff is what we need. Conference champs for at large. I mean, that's why I feel like we need 12. 12 to me is the right number. 12 is the right number. I feel like the reason why people are so frustrated is because we have a playoff committee that they don't have a lot of say it, Moon. While I do have my question, I don't have my questions about Rich Clark. I have my questions on the committee that's actually making the decisions. If you felt this way about Miami all year long, why not move them ahead of Notre Dame earlier in the season and not cause all this controversy where everybody is going crazy at the end of the year? It's just stuff like that, like the transparency. What is the criteria that y'all looking for? Strength of schedule versus the other metrics. The transparency and allowing us into the room. The fan, what's the show that's out there? It's a game show that's out there where, how do I say it? It's a game show where you can take the audience members and they are the vote. It should be like that for college football, in my opinion. Straight up. Notre Dame should just join the ACC and not have these problems. So Notre Dame joined the ACC in the 2020 season because of COVID, and they had to, they are already a member in all the other sports, just not football, independent. I feel like Notre Dame is going to continue to maintain their independence, but the secret thing about Notre Dame that nobody wants to talk about, what's good, my dog Falling? What's up, gang? The thing about Notre Dame is their schedule. I don't know if y'all looked at it, but Notre Dame's schedule is perfect for the taking, and they're going to be in the college football playoff. There's no way that Notre Dame cannot make the college football playoff. In fact, if I'm not really the most betting man, but if you could make a bet on Notre Dame making the college football playoff, take it. Take it. It's inevitable. Hold on. I might have to show it to you. I got to look up their schedule. This is crazy. We in overtime right now. Welcome to the world of college football. We're talking to the community. Notre Dame schedule, Fighting Irish. I'm about to tell y'all this, and I mentioned this on a previous episode, but this is crazy. I don't understand how the rich get richer. It's maybe because they have golden domes on their head. Golden domes. Bro, I got to share my screen. Yep. We taking a pivot. Shout out to everybody. That's joining. We about to do a pivot, and I'm about to show you my screen. You can see my screen? Oh yeah, you can. Bet, let's do it. So Notre Dame starts off the season in Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 7:30 neutral site. It's gonna be on Peacock, so that's the Shamrock series. We're gonna love that game. I think that's gonna be one of those. We're going to see a lot about Wisconsin more than we're going to see about Notre Dame, because Notre Dame has a returning quarterback, CJ Carr. They have a lot of great things to talk about with Notre Dame. I could talk about their defense for a whole episode, just about their secondary and what I love so much. But the thing about them is Wisconsin. Wisconsin has Colton Joseph as their starting quarterback coming in this season. And Wisconsin desperately wants to get rid of this curse of just having horrible quarterback injuries. So Colton Joseph is technically the savior coming in to save Wisconsin. So if Wisconsin could be anything competitive, we're going to have to see it in the Shamrock Series season opener. But look at this. They got cooked food. Now, Rice has probably one of my favorite offices in the nation. But they have cooked food at home. They have another home game. So they play at Wisconsin in Lambeau Field. I understand this is a Wisconsin Badgers team that's playing in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but you better believe that the Fighting Irish fans are going to travel. So it will be like the definition of a neutral site game. They come back home and play cooked food. They play Sparty with new head coach that's coming back, my dog, Pat Fitzgerald, at home. It's a night game, by the way. They got glorious spots to play in. They play Purdue on the road. They play North Carolina on the road. And then they play Stanford at home. Where on the schedule do you see a loss for Notre Dame yet? And we're just in October. By the time we get to middle of October, we're going to be sitting here talking about, yep, Notre Dame doing the same thing they always do. They always going to, like, Wisconsin, W. Rice, cook food. Michigan State, cook food. Purdue, you already get the memo. North Carolina, I don't see nothing changing. Stanford, I'm hopeful that's not going to be abysmal like last year. But, you know, Frank Reich was only a 1-year rental, and I knew that. But then they got to play BYU. BYU, this stretch right here, the end of October heading into November. BYU, you have to beat Notre Dame. BYU, Cougars fans, if there's a game that's a must-win on your schedule, it's this one. You have to win against Notre Dame. And the reason why is because not only will it help your case for the committee, but Notre Dame has a, what is it called? Somebody tell me the word. It starts with the A. Amendum. They have an agreement with the college football playoff that if they finish within the top 10, I think, that they automatically make the college football playoff regardless of what their seeding is. So BYU, you have to win. Navy, this game is going to be super important. It's going to be a slugfest. This 3-game stretch right here is the best chance for Notre Dame to take a loss. And they got to play Miami at home. Miami is the toughest school on their schedule by far. It's not close. But when I look at this and I see Boston College, they got to play SMU. SMU, if you're going to show up, I need you to show up. But this is a rematch with the game that, well, not a rematch because they played Penn State. In my opinion, they got to go back up north, in my opinion. And last time they went up north and we saw them on the national stage, they didn't do good late in the season when it was in November. So, then they closed the season in Syracuse. Woe is me. They got to play Syracuse. When I look at all the writing on the wall and I see this man right here, Marcus Freeman, I just sit there and say to myself, ladies and gentlemen, my God. Notre Dame's going to win and make a college football playoff yet again, and there's nothing that we could do about it. You better hope and bet that BYU can steal the show. My dog. What's up, Governor? Make sure y'all check out Governor of College Football. Governor of College Football on YouTube, Spotify, and also follow him on Twitter, Lover KT. The way we get Notre Dame shoved down our throats, I'm sorry, but I just had to tell y'all. So y'all won't be surprised when the season starts. The writing is on the wall. Sometimes it's just plain to see. His writing is on the wall, like Gucci Mane said in his mixtape. Probably undefeated. That's what I'm thinking. Nah, this is not Riverside yet. This is StreamYard. Miami is their only really tough game, and if they lose to Miami, they will likely, have only one game. So that's what my greatest hope is. Can Miami beat them? An 11-2 Notre Dame does not make it into the college football playoff. And who's your best two chances to lose? BYU, Miami, because both of those schools will likely have to be ranked ahead of Notre Dame because they got the head-to-head, right? Maybe not, based on what the college football playoff did last year. So who knows? But even if it is if they lose by 1 point, the college football playoff not gonna care. You know, they lost. Yeah, the Stormin' Mormons. We need BYU so much, and maybe if Wisconsin can do the unthinkable, and maybe this is the year where we see a lot of craziness like the 2007 season. Man, last year was just as incredible as a college football fan. But maybe, just maybe, we start seeing some fireworks and Wisconsin comes out to play. Luke Fickell coaches like his job is on the line. And I think it's going to be a benefit for us to just watch it all play out. I'm betting heavy on Wisconsin this year. Last year, I was a little early. I made a whole deep dive on Wisconsin, and I tried to convince y'all on the World of College Football episode that Wisconsin was going to be good. And I really tried to convince y'all. I convinced myself. And then them boys did not hold up their end of the bargain at all. But, you know, WNFC playoffs. Atlanta. Truth. Shout out to the WNFC. Shout out to WNFC and what they're doing with women's football professionally and the game expanding, evolving. Hopefully y'all have me out there because I would love to cover an event for y'all. But yeah, I just wanted to give them their love. Any other final questions before we get out of here? Let's get it. On this episode, where we covered a lot from the FCS and UC Davis. We also got Mercer with the FCS kickoff. We talked about Portland State. We talked about a deep dive of JMU, ECU, and Portland State. We talked about the SEC and Kirby potentially saying, hey, well, we're not afraid to break away from everything. Which is, you know how much power you have to have? To say, man, we don't need the rest of college football. College football is me. The SEC is, if this is the haves and the have-nots, I make content for the have-nots of the world. But if you're a have that's out there walking around with the heavy jock strap like the Georgias and Texas of the world are, bro, it's like the most cocky thing ever. And they don't care. They're like, you see our stadium? You can never dream of having 90,000 people in your stadium. And they can talk like that because they got the infrastructure. But you start putting some more money into these G6 schools' hands and let them get their hands with some little bread. Man. Who's your favorite to get the G6 bid? Great question, Governor. Wow. All right. So this has to be Boise State. I feel like could come out of the pack. The Conference USA, I'm really debating between Jacksonville State, and Kennesaw State. But Western Kentucky always comes in out of nowhere, tries to be crazy. So then I got the American, and this year I'm going to go with Zach Kitley getting the American Conference Championship. So FAU is going to be playing in the American Conference Championship, which is crazy to think about in year 2, but it's wide open. So FAU will be in there. Sunbelt, I think Sunbelt is the most wide open that we're going to get, and it's all going to come down to how dominant JMU looks. You know, if they do look dominant, Troy. But if I just surveyed and land, I had to say one school to get a G6 bid. The committee, they're going to have quality wins, so they're going to have to win early. I would probably say I'd probably say Boise because they have the best chance with the non-conference games. Boise, probably. We need Maction in the playoffs. Yes. If they can hold up their end of the bargain, I forgot about the MAC, but the MAC schools, I'm high on them from top to bottom. Well, there's a team at the bottom that just can't get right. If you know ball, you know ball. We'll talk about them. But, yeah, I think the MAC can be a competitive, but Jason Kendall leaving, I just don't know, bro. I really don't know. A team to watch out for, though, is UConn. UConn, I don't know if he'll ever join a conference, but, bro, it's set up perfectly. Y'all just keep overachieving. If y'all win this year, despite losing Jim Mora, UConn, man, if I'm one of those Pac-12 schools, I'm calling up UConn so fast. I don't care if it's across the country. Y'all change realignment for everybody, but I want UConn on my team. Did you see that famous comment about the MAC? No. Best conference under the sea? Boise State is set up nicely. Yeah, I really do feel like Boise State is set up really nicely. You say you like Western Michigan a lot. Western Michigan led the nation in sacks last year. Great defense. I mean, they put the hammer on Kennesaw State in a bowl game. It was bad in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So they coming into 2026 hotter than fish grease. I'm about to look at something real quick. I got to see, because that's a great question. I want to get to the bottom of it and the solution, because I got to know the why. Team previews. Actually, conference preview. Actually, yeah, team previews. I got to see this. All right, so the Mountain West, I really do feel, hold on, I got to switch my take. If everything works out the way I think it could, I'm going to give y'all my winners of each conference in the G6. In the Pac-12, I'm going to go with Boise State winning the conference, but it will be Boise State versus Fresno State in the championship. I'm going to say in the American, it's going to be Florida Atlantic versus... I'm going to get spicy. Florida Atlantic versus Temple in the American Championship. I know. Temple. What? I believe in Casey Killer. I believe in my dog. I'm going to go Temple versus Florida Atlantic American Championship. Something spicy. So you mean to say that Navy has a bad year, and you mean to tell me that Army has a bad year, and you mean to tell me that Memphis just dropped off a cliff when Charles Huff just came there? Yep. Because it's only their first year out here. Oh, yeah, that's tough. Sunbelt. I'm going to go Louisiana Tech because they're going to move. They're moving. I'm going to go Louisiana Tech playing on the east side. Oh dang, they're gonna be mad at me, but I don't care. Give me Louisiana Tech versus ODU. ODU versus Louisiana Tech in the championship. I think ODU. I'm buying all stock on Coach Rick. I'm buying all stock on Rick. Mountain West. I think North Dakota State is going to end up winning the Mountain West, and I do not know who they're going to play because I'm high on so many different teams. Like in New Mexico, I'm high on UTEP this year, well, at least better than what they were last year. San Jose State is my program. I love them. But I just feel like North Dakota State is going to win the Mountain West. When we talk about the MAC, that's where I don't know. I really don't. I'm probably going to go Western Michigan taking the MAC crown. And then Sacramento State, I don't know how good they do in their first year in the MAC, but I do think they'll be better than UMass. So they're not finishing last. And they'll be finishing higher than Kent State. So I feel like they'll maybe be bottom 25% of the MAC. I don't know. Because I just feel like Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, there's no way that those schools going to let Sacramento State come in and be like, oh, y'all going to pay for traveling all across the nation to come out to our games. So I'm going to get Western Michigan in the MAC, and then I'm going to get to the comments in a second. Conference USA, I hate to go against my home team, and I'm not going to go against my home team. Yeah, I am. I want to see Jacksonville State versus Kennesaw State again, rematch head-to-head, but I'm buying FIU stock in Willie Simmons this year. I just feel like Willie Simmons is going to shock the world. And they started the season kind of shaky. They finished the season kind of strong. I believe Conference USA, Willie Simmons might have something special. Give me FIU versus Jacksonville State in the Conference USA championship. So then I'll have my winners, and then I think that the committee will probably vote out of the champions. So let's say Boise State wins the Pac-12. We're going to say Jacksonville State wins the Conference USA. We're going to say Western Michigan wins the MAC. Mountain West, let's give it to North Dakota State. Sun Belt, I'm going to say Louisiana Tech wins the Sun Belt. And then American, I'm going to go FAU wins the American. So out of those schools, who's going to probably be ranked the highest? This is where I'll come back to y'all after looking at the schedule. They're going to give that bid to North Dakota State. North Dakota State fans, if you're watching this, I finally came. I broke the cheat code. I broke the matrix. Y'all going to be playing for the G6 bid in the playoff this year. That's what I feel like. Their schedule plays out perfectly. Their team is a juggernaut and loaded, so they're going to be ahead of the curve coming in. I know that they still got to worry about a little bit of what their quarterback situation going to look like. However, I'm hopeful. I really feel like North Dakota State could get that G6 bid, and I wouldn't be surprised. Because I feel like they'll rank them the highest. But you have to have quality wins, and that's why I kind of lean towards Boise State. So that's my thought process. I sent you a video of a guy talking about the Maction comment. I'll check it out on Instagram. Did I see all the comments? UNLV, FAU, Miami of Ohio, JMU, Kennesaw State, Texas or Oklahoma, Miami, USC, Houston. Those are all your champion winners. Sheesh. Who wins the SEC? Oh, man. I got to choose or I can't go on tour? Who wins the SEC? Texas. Bro, I feel like this might be the year Texas wins the SEC, bro. I really do. And I know they got to get through Georgia. I know. LSU was there. I know. But it just feels like Archie's year. I don't know. Who wins the Big Ten? Oh, man. Lincoln Riley. And I know it's crazy, but the schedule works out perfect for them, in my opinion. It just does. Did I miss Big 12? BYU wins the Big 12. Barely. And when I say barely, I mean barely. ACC, Miami. They might go undefeated. They might go undefeated. I wouldn't be surprised. Random question. What do you think about Brennan Marion at Colorado? Great question, bro. So, at first, I was skeptical. I did not like the hire whatsoever. I was not a fan, and I'm telling you the truth. Anybody that was around me during that time in the CFB Nation umbrella, all my brothers, they go literally vouch for me when I said that I was not a fan. I said out of all the universities in the world that Danny Scudero could have transferred to, and he left San Jose State after scorching last year, man, I could have did a blind resume to make you think Danny Scudero was Jeremiah Smith if I just told you the numbers. Like, dang, did that wide receiver play at OSU? I'm telling you, I was not capping. I was not feeling Colorado whatsoever. And Colorado fans, even the beginning of spring ball, I was not feeling y'all school. And the reason why was because I was super skeptical on why Danny Scudero chose to go there. And I said, you're a smaller wide receiver. You're a target hog. You want to go to an offense that pushes the rock down the field. You don't want to go to an offense where they're just going to lose Jordan Seaton. They're going to have some turnover. Like, Juju is still there. I know that. But you got a new head coach, coordinator, and he's running the go-go. I listen to the go-go. I don't need to run the go-go. Only go-go I know is go-go gadget. I'm trolling, but that's how I was, real talk, at the beginning of the year. I was not a fan. I did not like it at all. I was not a fan of the move. But then I started to peel back the tape, and I took some time to see, all right, what is he trying to do? And he really wants to space you out, attack downhill. Their wide receivers got a block, and that's something that made me nervous and made me scared because I said Danny Scudero is probably 5'9", if that. You mean to tell me that Cam Perry and Danny Scudero going to be on the outside blocking for whatever running back is going to be because Colorado didn't have a run game last year? That's just the facts. I'm not picking on you Colorado fans. I'm sorry, but y'all didn't have a running game. So I just have my skepticism about it, but I am converting slowly as the season starts to come around because I watched spring and Cam Perry was open all spring long. I watched Danny Scudero get his legs under him and start to come along. I see the offense taking progressive strides at Colorado. I see Coach Prime kind of laying back and not in the headlines as much, taking the foot off the gas and the accelerator, not so much in terms of performance, but in terms of being out there in the media eye and spotlight. They got to win. And I know people have their concerns about if they're going to bump heads with each other, Brennan Marion and Coach Prime, because they're two alpha personalities. And I say, yeah, I think it's eventual. It's going to probably happen. But the thing is, Coach Prime seems to be giving his defensive coordinator, which I love. The defensive coordinator is a dog. Shout out to Well Off Media for allowing us to see like behind the scenes of how Colorado does their practices. But like, if he gives Brennan Marion the space to cook and lets him do his own thing and don't get out of the way, then I think it'll be smooth sailing. It'll be some tough moments because all this is hoopla, like SpongeBob said. If we get to the season and it just falls down the tube. So I'm skeptical of Colorado because of their size. I love their quarterback. I love the wide receivers. I didn't like the fit, but I'm growing into it. Their defense is coming along faster, and they're getting a lot of upfield pressure in the spring game. Their defensive line probably might be my favorite unit to watch in the spring. And I think my dog is now at Notre Dame. He was at Colorado last year. DJ McKinney, I think he's at Notre Dame now. So that's a big loss, but it's going to be a Colorado that gets pushed to the limits. But I like the fact that they're out of the shadows. So I appreciate that question. What's up, everybody? You're tuning into the world of college football. I got to catch up on the comments, my dog. Yeah, the new offensive coordinator. I do believe in USC. In this year, I don't believe in players being due or staffs being due, but I think the writing is on the wall for a USC breakout. And you would have thought that it would have happened last year, but they fumbled the bag against Illinois. Just moments that they just didn't want to show up. But I'm high on USC because they are talented. They probably got one of the most talented rosters in the country. Just, you talk about the freshman integration from last year. My player to watch, Jakeem Stewart, defensive line. Defense for Lincoln Riley, if you can give him a defense, I think USC's defense is going to be really good this year. He runs a created offense that is fun to play with for a college football game. Yeah, I agree with that, 100%. And it's interesting to see how he runs the air raid compared to other coaches like Zach Kitley or Jake Spavital at Baylor, and what we hope to see him do with DJ Lagway. Hey, tell him I was not capping. What's up, Gridiron Apex? Make sure y'all follow, support, tune in, tap in. We love to see other creators that love college sports, love college football, but also can get into their bag in other areas too. Check out Gridiron Apex. LOL Go-Go is a fun concept, but he needs the right players. He must have did some heavy convincing to Danny Scudero to make him say, you know what? I'm putting up numbers like Jeremiah Smith right now. I'm going to sacrifice this to run block for a running back that we don't even know who it is. He must got some type of promise. He must get some type of side deal going on. There's something going on. What's going on? I wasn't a believer in Nick Nash because Justin Lockhart was doing a lot of dirty work, but Scudero is legit. And I think a lot of people had, because ball, so I don't got to convince you, Gridiron Apex, but how silky smooth Danny Scudero is as a route runner, he's going to be brilliant. And I think he can be a player that can translate pass systems. Because at San Jose State, he had Walker Egan throwing him the ball. Walker Egan made his way out to the ACC now. That's my dog. But, it's all going to come down to Juju. I think Juju made some progression in the spring. I really do. I really do feel like Juju made progressive strides. Just his command, his overall presence. Sometimes quarterbacks, you really need that presence. You got to be able to lock in with your team. And he did that all throughout spring. Even if it means getting into fights. He did it, but he was like, I want to smoke. We need that rough and feisty Juju because rough and feisty Juju equals rough and feisty Brennan Marion. And that's a lot of spice. And Colorado Buffaloes want all the spice they can get. Slime ball recruiter with the guy from Gainesville. Championships. Josh Niblett had to look up his name. That's a bar. Was very surprised he didn't go somewhere like Georgia. He would have fit that system perfect. But I agree with you. Whatever voodoo they had at Colorado to bring him in, they got a guy. Listen, they did more than voodoo. Oh, man. You ever seen Sinners? You remember the necklace that my boy had on? He took the necklace off at the end. He said, I'm about to snipe people. Danny Seguro took the necklace off and he said, man, if we die, we die. We're going down with Brandon Marion, bro. Georgia, interesting fit, but Mike Bobo don't. Mike Bobo is too vanilla, and it's not even his fault. When the back is against the wall, Mike Bobo as an offensive coordinator with his back against the wall is an animal. We seen it. We seen it. If he's with that Mike Bobo, vanilla bean, because Kirby likes vanilla. Kirby is a vanilla, play defense, run the football, smash mouth, don't got to get too cute. We'll come out in I-Pro, strong, weak. We don't need to go pistol. We don't need to go shoddy. We don't need to go anything. Just that's what Kirby wants. So if you're an offensive coordinator for Georgia, you got to fit within the vanilla scheme. So you got to be vanilla swirl, vanilla bean, vanilla macchiato, whatever you got to do. but you got to fit within the vanilla scheme. Now, if you start trying to talk about you cookie dough, Kirby gonna get you out of there. You start talking about you chocolate, you out of there, because I don't need you to be chocolate. When his back was against the wall, he started showing his true colors. That man looked like a little bit of sherbet. Let me stop playing. But nah, for real. I like Bobo, but I like Bobo with his back against the wall. Maybe these coordinators need to just have badges in real life like NCAA where they just lock in at all times and you don't have any drop off. Mike Bobo will run a super boring offense and put up 40 a game. And I love Gunnar Stockton this year. I really do. He's in the same offense. And if anything, Georgia's wide receivers just got younger. They got way more talent. And if I was running Georgia, which I know I'm not, but why not put all these huge tight ends on the outside? Let them play the X. It's like Calvin Johnson. Gunnar have 25 touchdowns passing anywhere as his floor. That's the ultimate red zone cheat code. Why not you use their tight ends like LSU uses Trey Green? That's how I look at it. This is true. Mike will be a good NFL coordinator. Talent conservation doesn't work in college. No, you got to get, it's like Rick Ross said, push it to the limit. Pour to Miami. Pour to my granny. Overtime against Tech. I was like, holy. When I saw him cooking like that against Tech, I said, "Oh, this man might be a demon for real." Hey, he said, "Man, I'm not being Vanilla Bean today." Nope, I'm not. I didn't get the memo, Kurt. And all the guys at Georgia that had drop issues have all been drafted or graduated. Thank you, God. We don't have to deal with it no more. Zachariah Branch, Mr. Smokescreen in Georgia's offense, he was an animal at what his role was, 100%. But I feel like Georgia's wide receiver room is more talented than what it was last year because you got these freshmen. I mean, Nino was trying to talk to me about Georgia's freshmen. Like, some of their freshmen could be number ones on other schools immediately. And I don't disagree. Their tight ends could pass as wide receivers if you wanted to. But it's just, Mike Bobo, you're going to have to get creative, dog. Just lean into the creativity. Watch some Reading Rainbow. You'll be good. Oh, another team. What do you think about the guy at Auburn? Alex Golish? I love Alex Golish. I think Auburn is a special place in college football, and if he does not win, which I'm feeling confident that he's going to do eventually, man, he wants to get Auburn to that Toomer's Corner and the toilet paper rolls coming out. You know what I'm saying? After huge wins and it's alive. I feel like the last time we really seen Auburn at that apex is when Cam was there. You know? And with their team, it's a huge loss with Cam Coleman leaving. But he had to leave. His quarterbacks weren't up to par. And once I started seeing him get into the murky and crazy dating pool that is transfer portal, I said, my boy is gone. Auburn, I'm hoping that their defense can continue to be ahead of their offense. I don't really know. And when I say that, I meant from the terms of last year. Last year's offense was bad. This year, I think Auburn fans should get excited because Alex Golish knows what he's doing. He brought in his starting quarterback from the USF. I was about to say UCF, but USF, South Florida, and the Bulls. Byron Brown is a quarterback. I know people have been roasting him when it comes to his release and it being a little wonky. I know he's been getting a lot of critique and everything. But sometimes when the lights come on, he just turns into an animal. And that's something that I don't have a quantifiable, like I couldn't put a measuring on that. Like what he does in games, how he shows up, how he utilizes his legs in the run game, or how Alex Golish trusts him so much. Yeah. You're going to need 2 years. I think like these new coaches in the SEC, as much as I love Coach Summerall in Florida, as much as I love my dog Ryan Silverfield, as much as I respect them, I think it's going to be a meat grinder going through the SEC like always, and it's going to be tough. So I don't bet on them in year one, but will their offense be more explosive than they were last year, even though they don't got called Cam Coleman? For sure, in my opinion. It's going to take some time. Auburn is not patient. No SEC school is patient unless it's, well, dang, I can't even say Kentucky no more because Kentucky was like, we got to get rid of Mark Stoops. He don't got a chance no more. And now all of a sudden we got all the NIL money in the world and we can go get recruiting class, big bomber after big bomber. You might think I'm Vanderbilt. Oh, man. It's been a fun episode, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in. To everybody that came in over the course of the episode, show love, watched, and I appreciate you greatly ending the night with us. If you're on the West Coast, hey, we appreciate you. If you're on the East Coast, you stayed up late with your dog. I hope you enjoy this Friday and everything that it will be. Have a great day. Make the most out of it. Remember, in this wonky and wacky college football world that sometimes is murky and sometimes it's very much so the haves and have-nots, we try to focus on everybody, give everybody some love. So we cover it a lot. FCS, Division II, Division III, covered the big boys in the SEC. We covered the coaches coming out and saying, hey, college football at this current pace, like Kirk Cinetti said, is not sustainable. We talked about this bill that's supposed to be happening in the Senate and what that means. In my opinion, this bill, I don't want it to pass because I just fear that there won't be any wiggle room and we'll be restricted. And I'm an Aries. I don't like being restricted. I like to be free. Fly like a bird. I want to fly away. That's how I feel. I don't like my wings clipped. So I feel like we can figure it out. We don't need our parents to get involved. We don't need the National Guard to get involved, bro. Just let us figure it out, but let the right people get in charge. Let Josh Pate be the college football commissioner, and we can make everything roll. Let the fans have more say so, and stop excluding us out of what y'all want. You know, on the episode where we talked about a lot and covered a lot. It's been a good one, a great one. Have a great day. They made up a story about the coach sleeping with the staffer to fire him with cause. Who are you talking about? Yep, that is my time to go. You're not about to get me in trouble tonight. This is the World of CFB. Appreciate you tuning in. For those that don't know, we just dropped the episodes on Spotify. It's now on Spotify. Go check it out on Spotify. Leave a rating. If you think it's 5 stars, if you think it's mid, call me mid so I can get better. You feel me? I ain't paying attention to no comment. Nah, I'm playing. Make sure you go run it up on Spotify. Episodes are now live. This will be the 50th episode. So we are building something amazing here at the World of College Football, and we're doing it authentic. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Have a great night. Take care of yourself. Enjoy Friday. And if you're a college football fan out there, know that we are almost 90 days away from the season starting, and your boy Moon can be even more excited. This is the World of CFB.